Gen Z is the most in-debt generation in the world.
The buy now, pay later. 71% of Gen Zs are on BNPL programs. 64% of those 71% were late on their BNPL payments last month in America.
What?
So Candace Owens is getting sued.
Ms. Owens have been saying that Mr. Macron's wife was born a man. So she's saying that when he was 14 years old, the woman/man was 39 years old. And it could be that he or she was still a man at that point.
I want to move on to Gaza. Starvation is a different type of oppression, man. There's actually a Christian who reported saying that he ate his own children.
They set the drone green. You can quickly run to the food, grab whatever you can. 5 minutes, they let it go green. As soon as it goes red, they start shooting. There's a crowd of people gathering food. An Israeli tank came and just shot a shell straight into the crowd. Where are the Muslims?
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Guys, welcome back to another episode of Chai with my Bai. On today's episode, we've got some very important and pressing matters to discuss through the lenses of the panel. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to talk about how Gen Z is currently the most in-debt generation ever. And this is the first time, I think, in over 200 years, that in America at least, the children, the current generation, is going to be worse off than their parents. And this is being sparked due to riba, and people are waking up to the evil of this filthy sin that Allah warned us about many, many years ago. We're also going to talk about how Candace Owens is currently being sued by the First Lady of France because she keeps calling her a man. And the reason why that's interesting is because France is a huge proponent of freedom of speech. It's because of that principle that they chose to insult the Prophet. So we're going to discuss that also. We're going to talk about global capital migration and the current financial crackdown that's taking place in the West. There are a lot of issues with regards to tax and moving money around, crypto, so on and so forth, and how to kind of prepare ourselves and protect our wealth in that regard. We're also going to talk about the starvation that's taking place right now in Gaza, how our brothers and sisters are literally dropping dead like flies due to hunger. We're going to talk about that and a bit more about what we can do to aid our brothers and sisters. But before we go in, there's something that I do want to touch upon briefly, and I don't want to go into this in too much depth, but there's a particular individual who, has persistently chosen to, attack the deen of Allah over and over again. And after saying that this religion has things that are barbaric, and after saying that Umar radiallahu anhu, if he was to do a test, in Aqeedah, he would fail, and after saying that the Quran that we have today is not preserved, he's now said that the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ are also not preserved. The reason I want to bring this up here is because, guys, we have to be very careful who we take knowledge from, right? This religion is knowledge, as Muhammad ibn Sirin said. So then be careful who you take your knowledge from. And what you guys don't realize, I'm not talking about this particular individual here, but just generally speaking, this da'wah space, this Islamic knowledge space, a lot of the corruption comes due to, financial agendas that people have behind the scenes. This is something that I've seen personally over a decade, right? But Sam, I want to bring you in here because a lot of this stuff comes from America, man.
That's how I'm here, Sheikh.
He left because of that, bro.
That's how I'm here. I'm not representing anymore.
Yeah, but can you give us some insight? Like, because some of these guys, and we won't mention any details, but you know them, right? In some capacity, one capacity or another.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think is the motivation here? Because, like, they're getting paid.
Motivation is, I think, Sheikh, lack of courage. And they need to be accepted in every circle.
Mm-hmm.
Just the feeling the need that wherever I go, I have to be accepted. Mm-hmm. And not having the courage to represent what we truly represent. Mm-hmm. I think that's the problem. Like, saying that there should be a screen or curtain between brothers and sisters. How am I going to be taken? Mm-hmm. It's just awkward. So let's take the curtain away. So it starts from there. Everything else, Sheikh, I think is just, I don't think, and I don't know, we're not talking about any individual names, but I don't think any individual wakes up, I don't think so, Sheikh, with the intention, like, today I'm going to damage the deen of Islam and I'm going to pretend I'm a Muslim. Like, it's not that, like, that level of hypocrisy. Yeah. It's just a matter of, Sheikh, fear. And what if I'm boycotted from this circle, academia? Mm-hmm. What if I'm not accepted over there? Whatever. If they don't, invite me. And then you go into the financial reasons. If you talk the truth, you're not going to be invited into many of these mainstream conventions where probably $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 you're getting paid to speak an hour, plus the business class and all the hotels.
Do you
and
know
suites.
this for a fact? They get paid that much?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Sheikh. Absolutely. You know, even some people, not probably du'at, but some people even get paid $300,000.
Yeah, this is true. I can second this. There was times where we tried to bring speakers, you know, to Ireland, you know, and we used to have Dean versus Dunya, our youth platform. And some of these guys are like 10, 15, 20K for a call out.
It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, so if you now speak about things where because of those things you will not be accepted in this campus, let's say where Sheikh Fawaz is doing the lecture, then you're afraid to speak because you have $15,000 on the line. And this, you know, he's just chosen this campus as the venue, right? Let's say auditorium in Harvard, let's say. Harvard's not going to let you in if you are not following their agenda.
If I'm not mistaken, the brother, he was quite, because what you mentioned about the academia thing, he was quite careful with his wording, right? The way he said it, he phrased it. He was basically trying to insinuate what he was saying was that the science of hadith and the authenticity and the strength of the hadith, no one accepts it in terms of academia. And he was basically saying that, you know, some narrations can be academically said that to some tabi'un at the very most. But what he did say at the end, which kind of saves face a little bit, was that because my belief in hadith is because of my faith, not because of the actual science. So he's basically what he was saying was the science isn't strong, but it's, as in science of hadith, but it's my faith that allows me to believe in it. But it's just like, even that,
there's no saving it, because the science of hadith is...
If I can finish my point.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, I'm saying the two contradict. Because in order for your faith to be, you have to believe that the transmission, that is the whole deen is the chain of narration. By
Even
believing
the
that this
Quran.
person is, even the Quran is transmitted to us. It's funny because I actually had a conversation with someone recently.
But he himself doesn't believe the Quran is preserved. Word for word.
I had this conversation recently as well with someone else.
You get GM, yeah.
And they mentioned the same thing. And like, I don't know, I feel like this is becoming something that is a little bit, and as you said, I feel like it is an element of, because even this other person that I spoke to, I even said this to them, I said, I do feel like there's a level of self-amazement about you, that you think that you've reached some level of understanding that, oh, everyone else doesn't know, but I know.
No, I preserve you. This is something that, like I said, is common. The first thing is, and I believe it stems from what Sheikh Sam's mentioned here, a lot of people just really want to make sure everyone's happy. And this is a big problem, right? We see even in that scene in where we come from in our own countries, etc. They're trying to keep everybody happy. And the nature of the deen is, if you try to keep everybody happy, the nature of anything is, if you try to keep everybody happy, you're going to have to try to keep some things hidden, right? Or you're going to have to try to change or warp some things in a way that please every single person. And this is where they start to wash the deen.
But where does this come from, us? Because this is this, I used to think that it was from fear, right? That you're watering down because you're scared, right? You're scared from maybe attack, from being discredited, from being talked about. But it's not a fair thing if it's money, right? That's now you prostituting.
But if you're scared of losing the money, it's still fair.
Okay.
It falls under fear, Sheikh.
Yeah, I think it is fair.
But it could be fear of losing money, fear of losing credibility,
fear of judgment,
fear of losing status, whatever it is.
You see, some of them have, and this is what these particular groups, by the way, I hate these groups, I'm not going to lie, with a passion. Because yani, they claim, and they're so good at deceiving people. You say kalam ma'asul, yani, their words are so sweet that the person who doesn't have education on his deen, he easily digests this, and it's like it makes sense, right? But they're so good at swerving their people's minds and making them believe we're doing this for the bigger purpose, etc. So this is one thing you have to be conscious of, right? The biggest issue with these guys is they claim they're doing this for this greater good. Now this is where Islamically we understand the principle, the ends doesn't justify the means. They're like, okay, but we have to, this is for exclusivity, it's better at least if, okay, we have to leave some things out, but look, everyone is here. But it's not about everyone being here upon falsehood.
Do you guys want to hear something depressing? I've been searching for a halal investment opportunity with high returns for over 15 years. And other than Bitcoin, regretfully, I never found anything solid. The opportunities I found always had one of three issues. It was either haram disguised as halal, or it was super risky and volatile, or it had painfully low returns. I'm talking the type where they mention you make your first $1 million when you're 50. But that all changed when I interviewed the most impressive real estate investor I've ever met, Brother Amin. I interviewed him on my podcast, Righteous and Rich. And he blew my mind away with a halal real estate investment opportunity where he's helping his investors get 50% returns in 2 years. Allahumma barik. In fact, some of the most well-known students of knowledge and well-respected businessmen have invested with him and made hundreds of thousands and even millions. Allahumma barik. And get this, it's actually halal. There are no dodgy fatwas. There's no tricks. It's 100% halal. But there is a catch. There's always a catch. The catch is you have to have at least $100,000 liquid ready to invest within the next 30 days to qualify for his current development project in Dubai, where it's projected that he's going to be giving 50% returns to his investors over a 2-year period, inshallah. So if you're interested and you'd like to book a call with this team, you can do so at the link below. But just a heads up, if you don't have the $100,000 ready to deploy in 30 days, they won't take that call. With that said, let's get into the podcast. You know, for me, when this matter became clear, you know, after we did the last podcast, you sent a clip of this particular individual where he talks about his justification for why you can take mortgages. Right? Okay, I don't want to confuse the people. I want to just follow the train of thought. So this, when I ask you for your evidence, why do you believe mortgage permissible? What do you expect to hear? Hadith, right? What he said is that, no, there's a principle is that we need to basically like do well in this dunya. The reason we do it is so we can be secure in this dunya. So, okay, now, give me an evidence that is something that is a darura, that allows you to do riba, which is an act that Allah wages war against you. So,
Sheikh, it's the end. The Muslims will be strong.
No, but hear my point.
Even the end doesn't make sense, bro, especially on that.
Right, and this is the point. And now you've caught on to what I'm going to say, which is that this made me look at them with even more disgust. Because, all right, cool. Number one, your principle is batil. But this doesn't help us in the dunya. Right? Which brings us on to the second point that we want to discuss. Gen Z is the most in-debt, generation in the world. Right? Because of riba loans, because of mortgages and university. No, not even mortgages, because of university loans. Right? Now, these mortgages that you're saying are permissible to get, right? The average age that people are able to get it in America is 38 now. It used to be 30 just a few years ago. It's gone up by 8 years. So it means you don't even understand how the world works. Like riba, there's a reason why Allah made it haram, because it destroys your livelihood. This is the opposite, you prat. It's actually the opposite of what you're saying it is. Like, if this actually helped us in this dunya, right? Maybe you might have an argument, but you don't even understand the thing you're passing a fatwa on you for.
Yeah. But remember, a lot of these fatwa, they go in line with the people's desires. So people are going to accept it. They're going to rally behind
popular
it.
opinion.
Yeah,
popular opinion.
Imagine if someone was to come out today and just say, yeah, guys, we've reviewed the Quran and Sunnah, and Big Sheikh came out and said, yeah, you know what, mut'a, temporary marriage. You know what, brothers? It's permissible, man. Just go do it. Couple hours, couple days, couple nights, no problem. Brothers would, their desire would be brothers.
Sarahatan, this is what Ahl Shahawat, this is the thing about them, people of desires. It's either one of two things. Either they end up changing the deen to fit their desires, or they end up disbelieving in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is very important. And this is the problem. Have you seen the one who's taking his ilah, his God, as the desires? It's one of the two. This is what refers to as cognitive dissonance, right? You can't believe something and act opposite way to what you believe. Does that make sense? Eventually, one of two things have to change. Either you have to change the action, or you have to change your belief. So if they are stuck on this action, and this is why we see anyone who instills and he's stubborn upon committing sins, he ends up in one way or another either changing the deen or leaving the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Does that make sense? So this is the problem when people believe their desires to be more important than the hukum of Allah. And again, this is a reoccurring theme we're going to see. Even with these guys, like I love what you said there, it's that self-amazement. It's when they start to believe that, you know what, my opinion is more important. It has more weight. I have more insight, more understanding of the world than XYZ ulama and the Quran and Sunnah. It's different now. This is the problem. It's self-amazement. They really believe there's a wisdom that they have that people can't see.
I think the lesson that I would like to just mention for people is that, you know, don't attach yourself to individuals, man. You know, there's a reason why Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anh, he used to say, if you're going to hold on someone, then hold on to the ones that are dead. Because the ones who are alive are not safe from fitna. Right? And of course, you have to go to teachers and educators and people that will educate you. Go to those that constantly reference the ones that are dead. right? The ones who constantly reference me, ana, I, my thought, I'm scholar, I'm sheikh, right? Be scared of those people. But the ones who tell you, this is what you need to know today, and I know this because of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, Imam Malik, those guys who cling on to those that are dead. Yeah, hold on to those guys.
Sheikh, if I may add one point on
Please
that, on the housing thing, if we take a step back. So if we follow their chain of arguments, let's say their chain of argument is, it is better, we get to something better by owning homes. Let's follow their argument, right? So they make the argument, safety. You somehow will be safer if you're a homeowner. Okay, so obviously that's not true. You could actually rent a home in a gated community and you would be as safe. So safety is not like you don't need
safe as in financial safety or like your life as in
just safety, like in general
getting
safety.
Stabbed and robbed and stuff.
Yes, exactly. Second, if you come to financial safety, which comes to like financial security, also it's falsehood. How? If you're actually a homeowner, you have no control over what your taxes will be, property taxes, right? And you are responsible for the property taxes. And the home prices have gone up so much in the US that all the taxes are getting reassessed on the current value, right? So the taxes are doubling just overnight in the sense like over 1 year. Literally, taxes are doubling over 1 year. So now you are responsible for paying those taxes, right? Thirdly, it does not, at least in America, it does not give you any extra rights. Like, again, we're following their chain of argument. It does not let you cast 2 votes instead of 1. It does not, Nothing changes. Nobody asks you, are you a homeowner when they're hiring you for a job, a career, education, voting rights, whatever civic rights that you think you're getting in America, you'll get the same just being a renter and a homeowner, right? And you're not paying taxes. You're not contributing to the corruption because all these taxes are going and they're not even using it for what they're supposed to use it. Schools, hospitals, roads. It's not being used for that. So I don't even know from their chain of argument. Like it's not a show of strength. You know how many billionaires don't own a house? Elon Musk does not own a single house he lived in. Like,
wow.
No. He had one last one. He sold it 2 years ago. Now he does not own any homes.
I think something
so from what angle does it make sense?
Yeah, I think something interesting on this is well, like a principle, if you were to be successful, a principle is you probably shouldn't follow the majority. Like it's a simple principle. If you want to become successful in life, you probably shouldn't follow the majority. Whatever majority of people propagate tends to be batil, right? And even if you look at this from an Islamic standpoint, the Prophet ﷺ says, "What glad tidings to the strangers." A lot of the times, these things that become popular and they become mainstream, a lot of the times they're actually stupid, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be so mainstream. Right? Somebody somewhere has a vendetta and they've casted this belief amongst the general public in order for them to act in this way. And this is, again, something I've had conversations with people, even, Dr. Maz, right? And he's talking to me about why people make these investments, etc., and why people get mortgages. And I've had the conversation with people who've done riba and gotten mortgages. If you hear all of their reasons, it's all nonsense. Wallahi, all of it is nonsense. Every reason he mentions, it's
mostly for status.
Everything he says, you can literally come up with a clear rebuttal.
So I want to take this conversation now to this issue of riba, yeah? So I said it before and I'm going to say it again. Right now, Gen Z, which is the current, the new generation, they are basically about to bear the brunt of all of the riba decisions that have been made in the last 40, 50 years that have affected them today, right? Sheikh, break this down to us. Why is it that Gen Z right now is going to be worse off and poorer than their parents?
So, according to the recent data, the buy now, pay later, I think we touched on it on one of the podcasts, the BNPL program. 71% of Gen Zs are on BNPL programs in America, 71%. And they use BNPL program. It's bad already to do it for your sneakers and Nikes and all that.
So this is like Klarna, right?
Yeah,
yes, exactly that. Now they're doing it for basic necessities.
Even
food.
a credit card technically is buy now, pay later.
Yeah,
no, but credit card, there's credit card interest, right?
Yes, but for BNPL, Sheikh, what's worse is it's not regulated. It is absolutely not regulated. So anybody and everybody can get it. You don't need any credit history. You don't need, because already the options are there. Make 4 installments, 4 payments. You just click on it. They don't ask you, how are you going to pay it back? They'll just give it to you. They'll finance it. and it comes with interest, with high interest, but it's already built, like it's packaged where it's acceptable to the Gen Z.
Yeah, the late payment fees, basically.
Yeah, or they're not saying 23.99% interest. Gen Zs don't understand that.
Or what some of them do is they'll say, for example, if you pay in 4 installments, we won't charge you anything. If you pay in 6 installments, this is the fee. If you pay in 12 installments, this is the fee. And it gets bigger. The more installments you choose, the bigger it gets. But they'll give you one option where it's like, if you choose this option, then you don't have to pay any interest.
And once you fall in the trap, you're never paying it off.
It will still have late payment.
Once you fall in the trap, you're never paying it off. So 71% are in BNPL. But here's the scarier part. Over 60%, I think 64% of those 71% were late on their BNPL payments. 64%.
That's crazy.
Last month in America.
What?
Yes. 64% could not pay last month's due. Yep, just last month. 64% of the BNPL overall payment. So America is it's going to be a huge impact. And when we talk about global capital migration, when we come to that, Sheikh, I'll add more data in terms of like macro situation.
So look, explain to me, you mentioned some facts here, but tell me, how does that look like in terms of the lives of these shabab, of these youngsters?
Lives
what's their quality of life looking like?
And Brother Fawaz can add on to this. Basically, how we always in this podcast, there are some core messages we always talk about repeatedly. One of them is delayed gratification, right? But they have reversed it to instant gratification, delayed accountability. It should be instant accountability and delayed gratification, right? Now it has been reversed
to instant gratification
and delayed accountability.
You get the item immediately.
The gratification, accountability later.
Worry
it's okay.
about it later.
Yeah, worry about it later, and maybe
and for a nation that's or for an age where people have been dopamine warped.
Yes,
that's the worst thing to do.
100%.
And the most interesting thing about this is, I'm sure we've all had stages in our lives where we've owed money or we've been in debt. Do you know the feeling?
Stress.
You can't even think outside. Like, it places you in even a smaller box than the road already initially planned to place you in. You can't even see past your debt. You can't even, forget trying to scale, you can't see past your debt. And this is where you look at the minds of people. For them, it's just, look, sometimes you speak to people in the West like, oh, why don't you do, it was, bro, I just need to get this mortgage sorted. Yeah, and he's blind. It's like the end of his life begins at the end of his what? At the end of his mortgage.
You know how deep this is, exactly what you're saying? You know how often the Prophet would, you know one of his most common du'as, what used to be in salah? In salah. Deep this for a second, people. How common one of these du'as used to be. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-maghram wal-ma'tham, or kama qala Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah, I seek refuge with you from debt and sins. The Prophet would consistently make dua to Allah, Allah, I seek refuge with you from debt. Not riba, by the way, just debt.
Debt in general.
And sins. And what's the relationship between, why these two things? Because a man will get into debt when he's sinning, a man will sin when he's in
debt.
When he's in debt. This is something that's an evil thing. It's an evil, it's a sad thing to, I remember Ustad Imran used to say, even if you say, when it comes to university loans, subhanAllah, you want kids, let's just say you believe it's permissible, for argument's sake. You want kids to start their life with debt. You want kids to start their life with minus, bro.
You want couples to start their marriages with debt.
With debt,
marriage,
right? And we're not adding on to the curse of Allah and all of that. For the Sheikh.
So if I can add one more layer to it.
Please.
Layer is, Sheikh, what Brother Fawaz said. These are people that still have fitra left, right? Like when I'm in debt, I cannot function, right? Because I have some fitra left. But Sheikh, I think there's another layer to it. I meet so many brothers these days, young, from Gen Z, have no worry about debt because they have lost their fitra, Sheikh. They will owe money to a brother, but then you go to their WhatsApp stories, you'll see they're going on 5-star, 7-star vacations.
Yeah.
So that means the man has lost his fitra.
Oof.
And like he mentioned, we have all been in debt in situations, right? Bro, I could not function. Literally, I could not function without paying the brother off, Then I could do some even necessities. I would cut down on my necessities, eat potatoes, lentils for 3 months because I could not pay the debt off.
And this is propagated by the kuffar. They're the ones who say, don't spend your capital. Instead, take out loans against the capital and use the capital somewhere else and keep the loans. And people listen to this advice and think that, I'm very financial savvy. I've taken out a debt, so my capital, I'm going to use it. I'm going to make more money with it. We don't realize, bro, you're going to end up in a vicious cycle.
And there's quickly say, if I can mention, it's so funny you mentioned that. The principle, not the principle, we cannot call it principle, but the hack is, and it's for all the wealthy people, the hack in the West is buy, borrow, die. That's the hack.
What?
Buy, borrow, die. So let me explain that to you.
Yeah, explain that.
So buy equity in a company.
Yeah.
Buy a bunch of real estate. Buy real assets.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Then borrow against it. And if you're high net worth individuals, a normal, Tom, Dick, and Harry would pay 7-8% interest right now for their house, 30-year mortgage. But if you're a high net worth individual, the system is rigged for you. You're paying only 2% against your assets. 2.5%. Okay? So you buy an asset, let's say of $100 million. You borrow against it at 2.5%. Okay? Then you invest that where you get 20-25% return. And then you die. But you have a life insurance in place, which will pay off all your debt and your inheritors don't have to even pay it.
Oof.
You understand the formula, Sheikh?
Yeah.
Basically just game the system.
And everybody, all the viewers can look it up. It's called buy, borrow, die. And they don't want common people to find out about this. These life insurance companies, Sheikh, will not call us, those marketers from India. They won't call me and you for this scheme. They know who to call. They know how to approach.
But this will affect the future generations.
100%, Sheikh. And as Muslims, we have to think from macro level, because remember we had this discussion, Ray Dalio talks about it.
Yeah.
An economy spends or expands when consumers spend.
Yeah.
So when consumers don't have money to spend, how does the economy spend? Give them on credit. And the economy keeps spending. And I don't have a solution to that. Now a Western country or a non-Muslim country keeps expanding on riba. Always, forever, from this formula, Allah knows best. Of course, there has to be divine intervention. Otherwise, Sheikh, like these economies will just become bigger and bigger superpowers. You're following, right, Sheikh? Like it's that formula.
And if I'm not mistaken, what they do to solve that problem, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they lower the interest rates. If you lower the interest rates, then you make it easier for people to go and then just
take
that's
up more quantitative easing,
It
right?
seems like a cycle, right?
It's a cycle, bro. And then that
eventually
means,
it has to.
but that causes inflation, because when everyone goes back and starts
It's a
buying
cycle.
things start.
and ultimately it ends to being fiat. In God we trust. There's nothing.
And because you asked earlier, what effect is this, what does this show us about the people? I don't think the concern is even the people, because regular people, they default on their payments or whatnot. It's not even that big of a deal. Like,
It's not a
carry on
criminal
with-
activity.
It's
It's
not a criminal
civil.
activity. If you bought some trainers from Nike and you put it on a Klarna pay by 4, and
It'll
you
be just on your
can't
collection.
pay it. Yeah, it's just in your collection. You can't pay it. No worries. You bailiffs come, whatever. It's not a big deal. But look at the economy, though. Yeah, look what's happening in the economy. A lot of these businesses, their funds, their assets are debt. What's propping up a lot of these large global corporations is the debt that they owed. If people can no longer pay that debt, those companies are worth zero. You know how literally Allah says in the Quran, I believe it was in the Quran, right? Allah says He makes the riba disappear.
He's destroying it.
Destroying it, as in it literally just,
He's destroying it, subhanahu wa ta'ala.
it literally just disappears. The net value of a lot of these banks and companies, that's what happened in 2008. But the reason why it's so scary is when you combine that, with all these economies that are built on debt and interest and so on and so forth, when you combine that with the global capital migration, that millionaires and billionaires are leaving en masse from these countries. Take the UK, for example, right? 10,800 left last year. This year, I think 16,000 and something are going to
Expected to leave just from UK.
Just from UK, and that's around 60 billion in wealth that's going to be leaving. 60 billion in wealth, right? And especially when you combine that with the fact that the top 1% of taxpayers in the UK pay around 30% of the taxes in the country.
Oh, wow.
So around 30% of the government's budget that comes through
Revenue is
taxes
gonna be away.
is coming from the top 1%. And if you got 16,000 of those guys leaving, who the hell is going to cover that gap? The ones on the lower thresholds are going to have to get taxed more. So now you got a combination of real money, assets is leaving, but debt is growing because so the economy is being run based on debt. The real assets are actually leaving the country. But what does that mean? That country is a ticking time bomb. It's literally a ticking time bomb.
I don't know about how you guys' countries are, UK and America, but I know back in Ireland, like, it's so normal. Like, it's Audi, BMW, Mercedes. These are guys who have 30 to 40k a year jobs.
Yep.
And all of them, like, I'm talking in Ireland, it's Audi 24 plates, because we have our years, right, on the plate. It's what?
UK
as well.
you
know what I'm saying? So you can see the guy has 25 plate, 20. You're thinking, bruv, like, this guy works like a 30 to 40k a year job, and his car is literally worth like maybe 60, 80 grand sometimes. House, same thing, massive house. In Ireland, it's just, you look around, you look up, it's like, bruv, everybody here is just in debt. I used to think of it. I used to speak to the brothers in Ireland. Everybody, like, all of these guys, it's either one of two. It's either majority of them are like on social, and the guys who are on social, they're just in major debt. Like, I'm talking major debt, to the point where I remember in secondary school, your students, your fellow classmates, they're talking about their parents paying off their mortgage and paying off the car. It was such a addy conversation. Like, I was baffed to hear that. Look, I remember the first day I started to search these cars, and you start to find out how much some of these cars cost. It's impossible. The guy makes 40k a year before expenses, before tax, 40k. How does he own this?
Since we started making content for righteous and rich entrepreneurs, I've gotten so many messages from brothers who've been inspired and want help making money online. They're hungry for financial freedom so they can seek knowledge, do hijrah, and live life on their terms with Allah's permission. But here's the truth. I can't help you. I personally only work with 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs. With that said, there is one brother that I trust more than anyone else that helps beginners start their online businesses with Allah's permission. In fact, I've sent in dozens of brothers already, and time again, he's helped them make consistent money online. Look, I have a lot to lose by putting my name behind someone I don't have full confidence in, but this brother, I've vetted him and his team and his method. I trust him with Allah's permission, which is why I'm ready to risk my 10-year plus reputation on telling you this brother, he will help you make money online, inshallah ta'ala. So if you're interested, go to the link below and you can apply for his mentorship. With that said, let's get back into the discussion. You see, the thing is, that I get, yeah, they taking out debt for luxuries and so on and so forth that they can't afford. But I think the scarier part is they're taking out debt for necessities now. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And
groceries. And
like, for example, groceries. I'm saying, and the reason why they're probably having to do that is because they spend all of their money on debts.
Luxuries.
And I think this is the problem, bro, is that when the economy collapses, right? Which is, I think, what you're talking about, if it implodes on itself.
Brother, this whole system is an experiment.
Okay.
There's no precedent for this in history. 1972 was the first time that all the currencies in the world were depegged from an actual tangible asset.
My point being, though, I'm saying if you're at a place where people are not able to afford their basic necessities, and they're using basic necessities to what? To order groceries, to order pizza. They're paying off pizza in like 4-month installments, 6-month installments. Which they're doing, by the way.
Seriously, that's where they...
Or even if you were buying pizza in one installment, it's bad.
And 61% of them defaulted on their payment last month.
Yes.
I'm saying what this is all indicative is to an economic meltdown, because people don't have money to actually buy food. They're buying on debt. So what happens when the debt system breaks and collapses, then you don't even have debt to buy things on. So people start going to streets, there's anarchy, there's bloodshed, there's stealing, there's looting, and there's...
we're seeing that.
And say that again?
We're seeing that shit.
With the whole fentanyl drug and everything and so on and so forth. And
even in the UK now. Like, I don't know if you saw recently with the whole Epping riots.
I haven't seen
Last year there was the Southport riots, you probably saw that. There was just getting punched in the face.
What?
What do you mean? This was... I spoke to an uncle recently, he was telling me his daughter got punched in the face. She was walking through the park last summer.
What?
Niqab, some youths come, they put up a niqab and punch them in the face. Yes, yeah. And this is not something that's like unheard of. It's growing up. That sentiment is growing. They're blaming immigrants. They're blaming Muslims.
Okay, I see.
They're saying that, this is their fault. It's their fault that we can't afford to buy, that we're defaulting on our payments and all these issues, because they're the ones that have been made into the scapegoats by those that are in power to take away the attention from themselves.
It's just funny because sometimes you look at this, like the people don't think for a second.
Yeah.
And this is, I'm not going to lie, I believe it's full circle here. One of the best things that they ever did was distract men. Like distract humankind. Like if you look at it, sometimes I'm sure you're out on a walk or you're in a bus, you happen to be in a bus, or like everyone's always stimulated by something to a point where he doesn't need to hold himself to, he doesn't think like, bloody hell, bruv, I'm in like 100 grand worth of debt. Like bloody hell, like how... If someone actually got a pen and paper and did the maths, he'd realize, I actually can't pay this off before I die. But he can't, because he's stimulated.
He's in a movie.
I say, even when you're in a car, there's the radio, there's billboards. You don't have any time to actually stop and like think like, what the hell am I doing?
As long as you have dopamine hits that you keep getting off social media, of this, of that, you're immune to it.
Can I mention a funny fact
Please.
I was mentioning on radio? So I was just reading up, Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Right. So one person got on Bill Gates' car. Bill Gates was picking him up from the airport just to give him a ride. And he saw in his car, it's a brand new car, but there's no radio. It's a big hole. So he was like, what? Like, he did not ask him just because it's Bill Gates. But by the time they reached, he was like, sir, I just have to ask you this. why is there a big hole in your car? Where's the radio? He was like, it's my temptation to turn it on. And every second I listen to radio is a second I'm not thinking about how to make Microsoft the largest company in the world.
The owner of Telegram, what's his name? Pavel. He doesn't own he does not own a smartphone.
Yeah. No Sheikh, smartphone, no homes, nothing.
I really believe the real enemy is stimulation.
Yeah.
I really believe this. This is a principle I've been I've been revisiting for ages. Because how do you get people to make these bad decisions? Because they don't think, right? And when you stop thinking, of course, you don't ever question things. And when you don't ever question things, you don't ever come to the answers to these things.
Just follow the crowd.
Exactly. So you just keep, we live in a day and age where people just do. And whenever you stop and ask them, why did you do this? I'm thinking, bro, why are you asking me why?
This is one of the reasons why they remove so much friction from when it comes to transactions. Cash is like, bro, I'm actually, do you know that I remember every time I used to buy something from the shop with cash, I would feel pain. Even if I want it.
I let them go.
You know when you buy something, it's an exchange of pain. I feel pain when I give you my money, but I'm giving you money to solve another pain. You know what I'm saying? And that pain, which I'm trying to solve by giving this money, has to be greater than the pain of giving this money away. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it, right? But so what they and they actually done an experiment where they actually saw that when people spend money, it actually sparks the neurons in your brain when you feel pain.
Yes.
So what they've done is that's why they made cards, and then tap pay, and then Apple Pay, and then Watch Pay, and then spend money you don't have, because all of this, what this does is it just makes it just reduces the friction.
Instant gratification.
I would like to talk. Look, Sheikh, one of the things, and even just for me to get vulnerable and honest here, there's a lot of us, especially myself. I'm not good at managing finances.
Yeah.
This is something I established a long time ago in my life, and it became a reoccurring theme. Okay, I know I'm naturally not the greatest at this thing. And this is why I believe a lot of people, sometimes you have to understand some things are really nature, right? That even if you did discipline it and you should study it and you should learn how to get better at it, you're just maybe not the greatest within this thing, right? And I read, look, my philosophy is if you ever have a problem, read books on it, study Islamic, the Islamic opinion on it, the evils, etc. I read Psychology of Money. I read all the books on finances, keda. I watched the videos, etc. on money, how money works. And still, I can agree. I'm not the greatest at managing finances. But here's where I believe a lot of people need to make an educated decision that they shouldn't be the one to manage their finances. Or they should put their money in places. And this is one of the benefits of when I used to buy property in Morocco. I'll be honest with you. To be honest, I never used to buy property because I was trying to get myself on the property ladder. I'm going to be honest with you. I needed somewhere to dump my money before I got dumped in Dio. Do you understand what I'm saying? That was my psychology. Yeah, before I got dumped in deal, I needed somewhere to dump my money. So it's okay, cool. Let me at least put my money here. At least I'm getting XYZ returns. So I think, again, people need to be self-aware. Now, I don't believe every single person doesn't know how to manage finances. Some people tend to be just worse than others. And if you know you're that person, I believe bring in someone, for example, and this is such an olden day age. I remember I was telling an uncle about how I'm going to bring in somebody to manage my finances. He goes, you're going to have to pay them. But bloody, how much am I losing?
Rather pay them
than myself.
The money yourself.
Right. Excuse me. You're going to have to pay them and it's going to cost you money. Just manage it yourself. No. Sometimes you just have to accept I'm not the best at this thing. Allah Barik, my brother who I ended up using, my brother's just amazing. This is something that's in nature to him. He's very he thinks of the third effect of every decision he makes, every transaction. Whereas I'm just he's blue. He's part blue. He's blue. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is where I believe, again, I wanted to include this because I know some people, they just don't sign up for these platforms. Alhamdulillah, credit cards are haram. God knows what I would have done to myself if they weren't. Right? Alhamdulillah, again, don't sign up for Klarna. Don't sign up, especially if you know yourself.
Yeah. Follow the habit. And I feel again, the problem we have is people follow the crowd, right? But following the crowd isn't necessarily wrong if you're following the right crowd. The problem is you follow the mass crowd, the wrong crowd. Look what the millionaires are doing. As you said, a lot of them don't actually buy these assets that you think are going to solve your life. Look at what millionaires are doing. As we said, 16,500 are leaving the UK. Of those, globally, so there's a net loss in the UK. 16,500. UAE is top number one. 10,800 this year. No, sorry, not 10,800. 9,800 this year.
Yeah.
Just into 2025, net positive.
Oh, wow.
So, and as Sam was saying, as in the last episode, people here, I think we said 70% buy cash or 80%.
82%.
82% of property assets are bought cash. There's real assets here. There's real money here. It's not based on inflated debt and this and that. I'm saying those countries, but they're about to explode.
These things are very abstract concepts and they're hard for people to understand. But I just want to share with them an analogy or, a story that we're told as kids that will hopefully drive the point home. You guys know the story about the for the want of a nail, the horseshoe was lost?
No.
So huh? So it's like a nurse rhyme. It goes, for the want of a nail, the horseshoe was lost. For the want of a horseshoe, the horse was lost. For the want of a horse, the battle was lost. For the want of a horse, but for the want of a battle, the kingdom was lost. So basically, the story goes like this. So this kingdom was lost. And the reason why the kingdom collapsed and was overtaken was because they lost this war. Why did they lose this war? Because there was a particular horse, right, that fell. Right, and this was like the one horse that the one knight that was like the deciding factor in a very close combat fight. And the reason why the horse fell was because the shoesmith, like the horseshoe, it was missing a nail. Right, so one small thing, a nail was not put inside of a horseshoe's, booth or whatever you call it. Right, caused the kingdom to be lost, and I guess maybe the blacksmith just thought, it's just a nail.
Butterfly effect, Sheikh.
But is that what it's called?
Yes. So like every like the butterfly, when they flap their wings, all of these, like we're here today, this air, oxygen somehow is also relevant to that butterfly flapping the wings. There's a butterfly effect.
Oh, wow.
That's how Allah designed the universe.
So point being is that you don't see the effect of these things that will take place later. Allah subhanAllah, Allah has just protected me from engaging in these things like credit cards and whatnot. Like I by Allah's permission is tawfiq. I don't know what it's like to struggle with the riba based debt. I don't know what that's like. And I never realized it was so hard. Like, as in the way everyone's doing it, I thought people are like coping, And I met a brother. I spoke with him a year ago, and he told me he's contemplating suicide, bro. And he reverted to Islam, but he's like, I've got credit card debt. And it's just, I'm thinking of killing myself. Like, that to me was just mad. Like, that's how.
I want to get some genuine financial advice from you. Do you believe debt is bad in every situation? Or do you believe there are some situations, let's say someone can get a card Hassan. It's like, okay, cool. Instead of putting all like what they say, but the actual version. So instead of, let's just say I've got capital and I need to buy something smaller, but I want to put, like, let's just say, for example, someone's got 100K. If I put 100K investment with Sam, then I can, invest in that in 2 years, I'll get 50% return. But I want to buy a car. So if I can find a family member who says, I'll give you a installment plan, and they got cash flow coming in, they can pay off the installment plan. There's no riba involved with the family member. Do you still think that situation is better? Just buy the car outright and then save more and then invest later? Or do you think some situations, maybe there is?
So there's twofold, Sheikh. So I'll revert back to what the great Warren Buffett said when it comes to investing. He's completely anti these type of debts, right? And his principle is we are financing things to impress people we don't like with money we don't have.
Oof.
And that's why he's so anti these kind of debts. What I mean by it's the cars and these kind of things, right? So the second fold is, of course, we all have wants, right? We want a little bit of, nice things from the world. The best way to do it is not from your earned income, because your earned income is getting taxed 30 to 50%. But your passive income is not getting taxed 30 to 50% in most countries, including the UK and the US, okay? So for example, in the US, long-term capital gains tax is 20%. And there is legal ways to avoid it. So Sheikh, just to give a clear-cut example, let's say my asset appreciated from $1 million to $10 million. And there's a liquidation event, meaning I'm going to sell that property, sell that asset. So of course, there will be taxes triggered. Now on that 9 million, I'll get taxed only 20%. But if I made 9 million from my active income in the US, currently I'll probably pay 57%. So the rich that's why we think they're so generous. Oh, Jeff Bezos' salary is only $80,000. Elon Musk is $0. Bill Gates is $1. They're not generous people in that sense. They don't want any active income because the government is going to take the money from the active income, from the earned income. They put these in assets. And then when there's liquidation event, max they pays 20%, and then there are ways of not paying it. So from those income, passive income, you finance your lifestyle. Otherwise, you're going to be paying double. How are you going to pay double? From your earned income, you're paying tax to the government. Then you're buying a house on a 30-year mortgage and you're paying interest on that. So you're being paid, you're paying double. You're already taxed for that income. Now you're paying interest on that income.
You're saying you believe generally it's bad in every situation.
It's bad in every situation. You go with your indulgences in life with your passive income.
And psychologically, it's just cognitive load. It's how I just feel like. It's another thing on your mind. And, you know, again, like I said, when I was young, again, you make money, you spend the same amount of money you made in a day. This was like me in the beginning, right? Now when you buy some of these things and you know, like this, although it's a nice thing, it hasn't really done a dent in, like, I can actually afford this, you know? There's a much more greater satisfaction, I believe, comes out of these things when you actually just buy it because you genuinely can afford it, not because like you're trying to do it for anybody, etc. And I believe whenever people do these things where they take debt and they say there's another opportunity and I've seen it break relationships and cause like serious mental problems where it's like it's better to build slow than to build in debt.
Being a Muslim entrepreneur who's committed to making hundreds and millions of dollars through his business without compromising his deen, I can tell you this is a very lonely journey. But over the last year, I've realized that I'm not alone. In fact, some of the most sophisticated entrepreneurs are Muslims who fear Allah, and they watch this show. They attend our retreats, and they use their wealth for good. The issue is that they're all scattered. They're all alone. But inshallah, that changes once and for all on September the 6th. Because we're going to be launching our exclusive and powerful circle of Muslims making millions, inshallah ta'ala. If you make millions as an entrepreneur or have at least $10 million in assets through investments, then you qualify to join our waiting list at the link below. P.S. I just want to mention, money isn't the only qualifying factor, but it definitely is the first. So you can register your interest at the link below, inshallah ta'ala, and join the waiting list. With that said, let's get back into the discussion. طيب, man, I think we've driven the point home with regards to how bad this whole debt thing is, especially with riba. Debt is bad in any way, shape or form, right? Generally speaking. Like debt actually, in the religion, it's actually a sadaqah, right? And you shouldn't be giving, you don't give sadaqah for indulgences. Like
One more time?
Repeat that, Shah.
Debt in our religion is a form of sadaqah. You give it when someone's in need. Like what's better is to give them charity.
Yeah, you don't make it like a profit out of it, like a business model out of giving loans.
No, I'm saying you don't take debt for indulgences. Sadaqah is when you're in need, right? I don't have food, so either you pay me money, either you give me money because I'm broke, or if you don't want it, you say, Imran, I'm going to loan you 1,000, to pay your bills, for your food, give it back to me. But debt shouldn't be used for, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a house. Debt shouldn't even be used for a business. It should be an investment. If you've given me money for my business, right? You should not give me a loan, even a qard hasan. I'm not a charity case, right? No, I'm a business. I'm profiting from your capital, but you're not getting anything in back. So instead of me giving you riba, let me give you shares, let me give you equity, right? And that's how the religion works. That you don't give loans for business. You don't give loans for luxuries. You give loans because the guy's in need. He doesn't have money. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's better to say, don't pay it back to me. Or, you know what, if you give a lot of sadaqah out and it's hard on you, you say, oh, you want to teach the guy a lesson, you want to teach him accountability, responsibility, you don't want him to be a freeloader, you say, here's 1,000, pay it back, right? But it's for needs. But inshallah, I want to move on to Gaza, right? Because it's become a bit quiet on the news with regards to what's happening. But actually, subhanAllah, the situation's taken a turn for the worse, which sounds weird to say. Like, how could it have gone worse? What's really started to kick in now, brothers, is the starvation. Have you guys been seeing what's been happening? Like, starvation is a different type of oppression, man. When you bomb people, and the bomb explodes and rips their body to shreds, and the burn incinerates them, and they die, it's over within seconds or minutes. Starvation actually is something that breaks you down physically and psychologically over an extended period of time, and you die very, very slowly. but you die seeing your neighbors die, you die seeing your children die, you die being in a situation where you have to make decisions. Like, which one of I remember, I think it was a stab Imran told me in Somalia, there was a mother, she had 7 children. She said, I had to pick which of my kids I was going to feed to keep alive and which ones I was going to let die. And we're now starting to actually see the death, as in at a high rate of our brothers and sisters just dying now. There was a famine that took place in the Levant region during World War I from 1915 to 1918, and where the people of Sham lost 1/3 of their population due to starvation. There's actually a Christian who reported saying that he ate his own children. He cooked his own children to stay alive. That's what this starvation thing does. As in, every time you look in history, like in Ukraine, there was a massive starvation that took place there. I think there's a book called Bloodlines or something like that talks about the starvation that happened in Ukraine.
Even in Ireland at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying the depravity that human beings fall into. Like when you're in a situation where you're like, listen, I'm not saying this happened in Gaza, but I'm just painting a picture of people like what happens based on what history showed us. Like a man will cook his own kids. He'll cook his own wife. And on a lower level, he will rob from his neighbor who's got the last loaf of bread to feed his dying kids, to save his kids. Do you know what I'm saying? In Ukraine, what happened was that they were actually just picking up bodies and having to bury them. As a service, they would be given some reward, right? Some rations. So when people started taking people that were alive, started burying them alive and saying to them, you're going to die anyway. And people would be buried with their hands sticking out. And some people who are alive would actually find their way out and dig themselves out of their graves. But people got to that stage where just to get some food,
Out of desperation.
out of desperation, so I'm saying this is I'm not saying that that's happening in Gaza, but I'm saying this is what you push people to.
But what makes this worse is this is man-made.
This is man-made.
Completely avoidable. Those were like, droughts, famine.
Yeah, there was a locust form in Levant, in Sham. There was
this is just evil.
The trucks are right outside.
Yeah.
The aid trucks are right outside, right?
Supplies are there.
And
what's worse is that they've weaponized the distribution of food now. With the GHF, Gaza Health Foundation. It's basically like a mix of IDF soldiers and Israeli and also private American contractors. And I honestly believe that a lot of these guys, like those sadistic people that enjoy harming people for sport. And I believe they genuinely signed up to go there and just have that. Some people, they just want to be able to, if someone's got a gun, I would like to use it. I want to be able to do this. And they go and they just shoot people for sport. And there was an interview recently that was done with an American who actually went as part of the GHF. And he was like, bruv, this was inhumane to a different level. Like even I was...
Sorry, what is this organization doing?
GHF, they're the ones that are distributing remember I told you about the drones there. It's got a red light. The people are queuing up for hours. And they set the drone green. You can quickly run to the food, grab whatever you can. For 5 minutes, they let it go green. As soon as it goes red, they start shooting.
What do you mean they start shooting?
They start shooting.
As in, why did they start shooting?
Because, bro, like I said, number one, they're doing it for sport. A lot of them, this is just target practice. Like, there's even a doctor that did an interview recently. He said there would be days, like every day would be a different set of injuries. So, like one day, you got only chest shots. The next day, you've got only head shots. The next day, you only got limb shots. Like it's as if they're playing sport. They're probably having a competition with each other. So let's see how many legs you can hit. Let's see how many legs I can hit. And it's all done under the guise of they were in an area that was they were running at us. And remember, there's no journalists, no international journalists are allowed. So no one can actually see what's actually happening. No one can actually report on what's actually happening on the ground. So a lot of it just comes down to that. And like I said, there was a doctor. That same. American who was part of it, and he was saying, literally, he goes, I saw there's a crowd of people gathering food, an Israeli tank came and he just shot a tank shell straight into the crowd. Boom. He goes, 100% there was war crimes that were happening. But the thing is, there's no one to hold them to account. There's no one to actually, people now they're saying they're going to let in some food, they're going to let some countries airdrop some food and this and that.
There's a video that really touched me. I want to share it with you guys. This is of an Egyptian man who is trying to do his part for sending food, the brothers and sisters in Gaza. Check this, inshallah.
اللهم احمل عنا هذا إلى غزة. سامحونا يا إخوانا. سامحونا. مفيش في مقدرتنا حاجة نعملها لكم. الإزازة دي ممكن تبقى سبب نجاتك يوم القيامة.
So just
He's right close to the border, right? So
yeah, he's not far from the
there's
border.
a chance that the waves can actually take the.
So basically, what he's doing is he's put barley inside bottles of water, and he's saying, Allah, take this to the people, use the waves, Ya Rab, and take this to the people of Gaza. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where there was a man who owed, you all know the famous story, right? There's a man who owed debt. It was supposed to be due on a particular day. He couldn't catch the boat to deliver it to the man on time, so he put it inside of a container, put it in the ocean, and he said, Ya Allah, I made you a witness of this transaction, so deliver it to the man. And it was delivered to the man. And then he went back to the man with a fresh batch of money and said, here's your money. He said, no, it already reached me. Right? It already reached me. So point being is that, look, what I found amazing about that, yeah, is that he's doing his bit. You know, for some people, the max you can do, right? The max you can do, it's like salah. You pray, if you can't pray the salah, complete salah. If you can't pray standing, you pray sitting. If you can't pray sitting, you pray lying down. If you can't pray lying down, you pray with your finger. If you can't pray with your finger, you pray with your eyes. If you can't pray with your eyes, then you do the motions of salah inside of your heart. There's no excuse. You got to do the work. I'm saying this man, he's doing his part, right? He's on a coastline that connects with Gaza, and he's trusting Allah to deliver this aid. To me, it's not about whether the aid gets there or not. It's what that shows in terms of I'm doing my part. And I want to share with people something that I think that they can do. One thing that I'm doing currently, and I've been pretty deep into this for about a week, and I think I'm going to dedicate a huge part of this following year to it, inshallah, is just studying Zionism. And just studying how they actually managed to achieve what they wanted to achieve. And the reason I'm saying that is because, think about it, yeah? These guys, they were, as a matter of fact, a very degraded people in the 18th century. For almost 1,000 years, they were seen as that anti-Semitism was real. As a matter of fact, it was real, right? Several accounts of Jewish people being murdered.
The diaspora, basically.
Yeah, in the diaspora, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. In the 18th century, things started to get better. You got wealthy ones in Western Europe and in America. You got the Rothschilds and so on and so forth. And, these Jews are starting to become more successful. But
because they were indulging in interest when others wouldn't.
Yeah, they were indulging in interest when others wouldn't, and so on and so forth. Absolutely. One of the reasons actually they ended up in situations like where they had to become lenders is because Christians wouldn't allow them to have jobs that were noble, and lending with usury was a sin and seen as something despicable. So they pushed them towards that type of stuff. So they naturally got involved in riba and so on and so forth. Not all of them, but many of them, and they became very wealthy on the back of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, being people that were on the social hierarchy at the bottom of it, right? Being a people that were detested once upon a time, how did they manage to convince the British Empire, which is the greatest entity in the world, to carve out a piece of land for them without an army? That's a remarkable feat in and within itself. They were in a worse off situation than the Muslims are today, yet they were able to solidify a state in the first 50 years, and the next 50 years, create a state in the first 50 years, or usurp a state in the first 50 years, and in the second 50 years, they did what? They solidified their position there. As the CEO of a highly influential Muslim company, would you like to know the single most important move that I made in 2025 that's helped me make more money than I ever have before with Allah's permission? Well, it was joining the Live by Design mentorship for CEOs by Coach Fawaz. When I heard that he helps scale the CEO's performance, which ultimately results in the business scaling, I was a bit skeptical. But subhanAllah, this program has transformed my deen, my health, my mental health, my family, my iman, and even my business. Coach Fawaz is now one of the 5 most important people that's impacted me in my life. So if you're a CEO of a decent sized company that's struggling to take his business to the next level, that next zero, That's where Coach Fawaz's Live by Design mentorship comes in. I'll leave the link to the application form below if you're interested. With that said, let's get back into the discussion.
Absolutely, Sheikh.
Do you want to answer for that?
Yeah, Sheikh, no. What Brother Abu Bakr said is super powerful. What he mentioned about we have to find ways, and also you allude to it a lot of times, Sheikh, even in the Seerah. There's 2 steps, right? One is taking wealth out of the system, out of the system that's oppressing us, then bringing it into the system that we can capitalize
Absolutely,
on. Right? So both have to be done.
Absolutely.
Both have to be done. So we have to work on taking the capital out of that system, with every little thing. Sheikh, people paying, like we mentioned repeatedly, 40, 50, 60% of their income tax. And that's directly being used. And there is no even mental effort, to do anything about it. It's all about sharing stories, which are great, Sheikh. Like everybody should, but there is no real, anything that's gonna, what he mentioned exactly.
Instant gratification.
Yeah,
I'm standing there, I'm shouting, I'm doing something.
It makes me feel better. It's a selfish thing. It just makes me feel better that I'm doing something, regardless of if anything is happening or no, right?
And they'll turn around and they'll say, oh, but even those Muslim countries where you're saying bring your wealth to those, but they've got trade agreements with Israel, and Wallahi, the comparison is so far apart. It makes no sense to me.
Right.
How you could ever, like, if you're earning 100 grand in the UK, for example, bro, you're paying around 60, but your take home is about 65,000. 35,000 going directly to the government. And you know that a big portion of that is they give directly to Israel in arms funding, in other,
It used to be $3 billion, $3 billion annually that America would give. This year they give $4 billion, and that's not even including
they
the
themselves.
military.
The UK, for example, is known for actually giving them intelligence. They fly flights from the Cyprus base over Gaza, and they share that intelligence with Israel. And Israel uses that for their strikes.
I think a lot of this comes from Muslims were taught to hate Muslims. Like, this is a big thing you see. Muslims were actually trained and taught to hate Muslims.
That's why you see a lot of anti-Muslim country hatred. And again, I'm not saying they're all perfect. I'm not saying they're all doing the right thing.
Nobody is. But perfection is only in Jannah, right?
This is what we actually made a video about this yesterday for my channel, which is the pursuit of perfection prevents progress.
100%.
You will never get started on social media because you're worried about the perfect video. My beard is looking a bit off. Oh man, my hair wasn't right. I'll record another one tomorrow. You're starting a business, but you're like, this idea, it could be better. I'll carry on working behind the scenes. But you're going to work behind the scenes until you die. You're never going to take that first step. People are like, I can't move to that country because they got a Shakira concerts. I can't move to that country because they got this, and I can't move to that country because
perfectionists and procrastinators share the same blood.
What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for some khilafah to come out of nowhere, and you're gonna stay in the UK doing what you're doing in the US, wherever you are, in the same place, and your lineage will drown because you were too stuck thinking about waiting for perfection. It doesn't work like that.
The pursuit of perfection, as we mentioned, it comes from a lack of desperation, a lack of urgency. If a person is desperate for something, he really believes this is a priority. He doesn't care if it's perfect or not. Like, for example, I'm not going to wait for the perfect time to start training and getting in shape. When I'm desperate, I'm going to die if I don't fix my diet right now. Right? You're going to do it. Likewise, bro, let's just be real, right? Stop with your crocodile tears. If you genuinely believe that the state of our ummah and our brothers and sisters that are suffering was dire, right? You actually believed it was a desperate situation. They desperately needed help. You wouldn't come with this perfection kalam. You take the lesser of two evils or the greater of the two. You do that.
Furthermore, you see so much contradiction in these people's actions is my biggest problem. It's the people that cry the most and they share the most online. They're always in tears and talking about how we need to rectify the state of the ummah and keda wa keda. They're the ones that literally do all the things that destroy the ummah. So you'll see someone posting and crying about, Palestine, we need to free Palestine. And he works for a company he's completely knowledgeable, is like, it's underneath the Zionists. He has complete knowledge, but no.
It's my income. I have to do it. I need to earn it.
You said the Muslim. This is because Muslims are taught to hate
Muslims
each other.
were taught. I'm telling you, it's just like black on black crime, right? See how black people were trained to like hate to see other black people succeed because he's from my side. How could he? It's the same thing with the Muslims. Muslims, I'm telling you, they were taught. It's like we're trained to hate other Muslims, and we hate the Muslim lands.
Who trained us?
It literally, it's funny because it comes from the Muslims as well. Look at what Muslims today say about Muslim lands and Muslim leaders. I don't understand how a Muslim, someone who claims, to believe in Allah and His Messenger, and who claims to be a Muslim, can insult a Muslim and praise a kafir in the same sentence. I've never been able to understand it. For me, there's clearly something wrong with Tawheed. In the fact that you're able to, in the same sentence, you praise the kuffar, and you destroy, you insult your Muslims.
A man who actually prays.
Yeah.
We actually praise.
What does that say?
We know the worst of Muslims is better than
Yeah, for me, Sheikh, Allah, I believe it's literally, you hear them, but this country, I'm like, bruv, the country you're sitting in does it 10 times worse.
10 times worse.
Even if they are bad, is it not better to choose the one that's the less
That
evil?
point you made about trained to hate other Muslims is so powerful, because then you mentioned about the black on black. There was a video that I saw recently. It was an experiment that was done. They got children, young black children. They put two dolls in front of them. One was a white doll, one was a black doll.
Yeah, this is mad.
And they asked the children, said, which one is the good doll? And they pointed at the white one. Which one is the beautiful doll? They pointed at the white one. Which one's the bad doll? Pointed at the black one. I said, why is this one naughty, and why is this one bad? Why is that one good? And they were like, because this one's white, and this one. Children, bro.
Yeah.
Children. It was ingrained. The environment they're in. That's what they've taken.
Yeah.
That's what they've understood.
And
That's what they've
this
learned.
is why I tell people, be careful what you watch, because it affects the subconscious mind. When we're watching all these movies, and the Muslim guy is always the bad guy, or the black guy is always the bad guy. What do you think subconsciously that does? This is all subconscious.
You're not, just as to mention, not as a brownie
Tom
point.
Cruise is your hero,
just-
and flipping the other guy.
Yeah.
The beard is the.
Right, so I actually observed this in my daughter, right? So she wanted to buy like this like doll, and she was given all the dolls to choose from. She chose black one, right? And that struck me, because she doesn't really even she obviously my daughter. I'm in touch with people of all different ethnicities and races, but my daughter isn't. She's fundamentally at home. She sees her family. She sees me, my wife. She sees grandparents and aunties and uncles. So she hasn't really seen many.
Bullet?
A couple times in her life, right? She hasn't seen many black people. She was like, "No, this is the beautiful doll. This is the one I want." Right? And I said to my wife, I said, "You know why she doesn't have any biases or any of that? Is because she's not been exposed to any of these, TV where kids are watching, and you see the little white girl and then the black or ethnic child in the
Princess is
bad
always,
kid. She's not been exposed to that type of stuff. Does that make sense?
Alhamdulillah.
So I was just echoing that point.
But just one last layer onto this, which we mentioned about the issue of the pursuit of perfection.
Yeah.
Even I did the podcast with Saad. Obviously, his hijrah story is a bit mad. Like, he left and he had literally hardly any money. He came here, he was literally paying the hotel night by night. At one point, even spent a night on the beach, homeless with his family and so on and so forth. And there were so many comments of guys like, that's so ridiculous. That's so reckless. You don't care about your family. You're put in those kind of situations and this and that. My thought process is, the guy's been here for 6 years now, 7 years, 7 years now. Allahumma barik. He's lived here. Yes, he's gone ups and downs and he's struggled. Guy's doing it. He's here. He's in the trenches. He's making it. He's made it work. His children, Allahumma barik, they're homeschooled. They're moving phenomenal. Like, they're making progress with Quran. They're doing gymnastics. He's got his own plate. Like, he's living life. But for you, just because you're unable to deal with those things, just because you couldn't have the level of resilience to make it work, and just because you're sitting around waiting for perfection, you're now trying to project that
That's
onto
another
other
example of Muslims hating Muslims.
Barakallah fiqh.
They're projecting it onto someone else.
You know what we have to do? We
make
just
them
have
feel
to have a
better.
paradigm shift. They say everything changes in life once you change the way you look at life. And this is what I believe majority of people just need to sit down and just please accept your opinion on the world is incorrect. Your opinion on how the world works, how money works, how everything works is incorrect. Where did you get it from? Where did you get it from? You got it from online. You don't know. You don't have, you know what's funny? Wallahi, us who read books, we study, we're like, you know what, bruv, there's so much I'm missing out here. There's so much context I don't have a clue on. Like, I feel like the more I'm learning, the more I have to study. And you have these guys who take their ilm from Instagram and TikTok, and bruv, the guy will sit there and argue with you for hours on how the world. Bruv, please just sit there at home and just, accept. I don't know how the world works. I don't know how I work. I don't know how people work. I'm an idiot and I need to go study. And I believe once you actually choose and you make that conscious decision, everything changes.
If I could just add on something, you know that point you said about Muslims hating Muslims, bro, it's actually very, very deep. You know when the Zionists came, okay, to put Zionists aside, do you guys, you're familiar with British colonization, right? The British were the colonial masters, right? And we all know this concept of divide and conquer. They wrote the playbook, right, on how to divide and conquer nations.
Yeah.
In fact, they were so good at it that American military colleges till now study how the British Empire did it. And they had a fundamental rule, right? They had a fundamental trick, which is, and the CIA does this now as well, right? And so on and so forth, which is that you go to a place and you ask the people on the land that you want to conquer, if you come and just kill everyone, you're seen as a bad guy. And the British had a rule, don't ever become the common enemy to these people.
Because that will unite them.
Yeah, that will unite them against you. He said, no. That's bad. What you want to do, listen to them. Find out who they don't like. When you find out who they don't like, match them up against each other. So here's what the Zionists did. Because he placed a Zionist guy, I think his name was Herbert Samuel, as the chief British representative who was a Zionist, right, a hardcore Zionist in Jerusalem. You know what they did? There were two main families in Jerusalem, the Husseini family and the Nashashibi family. The Husseini family, the mayor of the city of Jerusalem was from them. They took him down and replaced a guy who was from the opposite family, right? From the opposite. Imagine now, because you know tribalism, the Prophet said tribalism is going to be in this ummah until the day of judgment, man.
Right.
Right? Which is why this is such a filthy, dirty disease, right? Because it will make you fight each other. Forget the Zionists are just taking your land all around you, right? So they placed the op, right, in the mayor position. Then they went to the mufti position, which is going to be the biggest religious position in the entire land of Palestine, right? The mufti of Jerusalem. And they made him from the Husseini family. So the political, right, key representative of the city is from one family, and the religious, this person working hand in hand,
Right,
is from the other family. Well, they just made them fight each other.
Imagine the Republicans have the majority in the House of Senate, and the congressman is the Democrats.
That's what happened.
It's just gonna bounce back.
but
No bill will ever get passed. They'll put it through. They'll reject it.
Okay, they did the same thing in Syria, right?
Yes.
They placed the Alawis in charge of a majority Sunni country.
Yep.
And Iraq, they placed what? Saddam Hussein, who wasn't, I mean, you know, a lot of his aqidah, but they placed him in charge of a majority Shia country. Point is that they were like, let's just mash everyone
Mash it
up.
up.
Put Muslims up against Muslims. And people don't realize, there's a lot of funding that these think tanks have come up with ideas about fund this guy, fund that guy, fund this guy, fund that guy. And it's been a thing to, bro, just mash us up, bro. And it's true, we don't unite upon falsehood. But at the same time, bro, we have to be just. A Muslim is a Muslim at the end of the day. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't violate. It's better than, as you mentioned, allegiance with the disbelievers. Point being is that we really need to wake up to this thing, man. And on the flip side, the Zionists, they were divided on a level that is unbelievable. Akhi, they didn't even speak the same language. People don't realize they didn't speak the same language. The Zionists that wanted to move to Palestine, and when they started to usurp the land, some of them didn't even care about the religion. They were like, we're secular, right? Some of them cared about culture, but they all had different agendas. They had all different ideas about what they wanted to do. Actually, they didn't even speak the same language. You know what they did? They said, we have to unite everyone first. You know how they united everyone? It's mind-blowing. They resurrected the dead Hebrew language. And it's never been done in history before. This has never been done in history ever. A language that died, that no two people on earth spoke fluently anymore. They worked hard to revive it and say, this is what unites us. And then they worked to just what? To, unite each other on all these different things. And we're out here still beefing. We're beefing over legitimate difference of opinion. A legitimate difference of opinion, you prat. We're like legitimate difference of opinion, brother. It's not ijma' in the mas'ala. And then what's funny is situations where there is ijma', is not a difference of opinion. That's the one you say to shake hands. Oh, music is allowed. The one where there's no difference of opinion. A lot of our Salafi brothers, a lot of our Salafi brothers are guilty. A lot of them are guilty as well, bro, for fighting each other over difference of opinion that are not valid. So-and-so Sheikh said this guy's a mubtadi', so he's a mubtadi'. You fool, akhi. You fool, akhi. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
And that leads us
I can see
nicely
the clip
onto onto the freedom of speech issue.
Go on.
So Candace Owens, she's getting sued. Freedom of speech in the West.
Yes.
Why is that? What is that? What does that show?
Sheikh, you want to take the lead?
No, you do, sir.
No, Sheikh, you take the lead.
You know the story better than me.
No, I think...
So first of all, like, what actually happened? So give us a bit of context.
Actually, I don't know the story that much, Sheikh. But what I know is, basically, she has been, I think, saying, Miss Owens have been saying that Mr. Macron's wife was born a man.
French president. His Mrs.
His Mrs./Mr. was born a man, and then she became a woman. And we don't know when she became a woman. According to
is the wife of the president.
Wife of the president, and that's according to Miss Owens, Candace Owens, right? So she's saying that when he was 14 years old, the woman/man was 39 years old. And it could be that he or she was still a man at that point and was Macron's school teacher, high school teacher. And then he was molested and then later married. And then
the whole situation is just mad. If you look at the age gap and the difference, and as you said, the story when
and it could be a man actually. It's Allahu Alam. So the whole thing is like she's very adamant. Like it's factual. From her end, it's not an allegation. It's not an accusation. From her end, she has a bunch of proofs, and it's factual.
Okay, let me tell you a secret. I have access to some of the greatest Muslim entrepreneurs and investors in the world that are alive today. And I've been thinking long and hard about how to give you a personalized experience with them. Finally, my team, alhamdulillah, has come up with a solution. Starting from today, every week, you will get your questions on scaling your business and halal investments answered by the best Muslim entrepreneurs and investors, inshallah ta'ala. Think of it like a podcast straight to your email inbox. Each email will give you simple but powerful insights on how to make more halal money. If you're interested, just subscribe at the link below, inshallah ta'ala. It's free.
Okay.
Now, there's three angles that I look at it, and Sheikh can expand on one, but the other two are very interesting to me. One is, of course, where's the freedom of speech now? And I'll let Sheikh speak on that. But the second one is, look, the power of podcasts, right? A podcaster from across the pond, Candace Owens is a podcaster, right? And a president's, and it's not like any country's president. It's considered one of the most powerful countries in the world. France, leading countries, right?
One of the only nuclear countries.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And the French Empire, all that legacy that's there. That country's president is suing a podcaster across the pond. The power of narratives and the power of podcasts is like unbelievable, right? That's what for me is the most interesting part of the story. Third is, I think, I cannot just understand like who was the strategist behind, like who made the decision like we should sue Candace Owens to shut her up. Because there's only two situations here. Either they know for a fact like what Candace is saying is a lie, right? Or they know for a fact what Candace is saying is the truth. So let's play both. If it's a lie, like Sheikh Fawaz, nobody has the courage to. But if somebody tells you in the comment, I know Brother Fawaz was born a woman, how are you going to respond in the comment? Let's say somebody put. Exactly. Like, okay, plus, yes, whatever. Like, we don't have time. Who has time? If somebody, because it's so true what is true about you, and somebody's like, who has time to respond to that, right? But a president, even let's say what she's saying is a complete lie. Why respond to it? Like, why? She's just a podcaster in America, and it's not even in that. I don't think she's in top 5 or 10. I don't know her ranking, but I don't think like everybody wakes up in the morning to listen to what she has to say. She's not like a Joe Rogan or a Tucker Carlson. That's what I'm saying, right? She could be in League B, right? Not in A. So if it's a lie, why react? Now, if it's the truth, what she's saying, also why react? Because here's the problem. The lawsuit. She's not going to drop it. She's going to fight it. And probably that was her trap to entrap them to actually file a lawsuit. Discovery phase. Oh my God, the things that are going to come out in the discovery phase, if it's the truth. So it just doesn't make sense, Sheikh. I feel like there's something more in it than... Because how could a president be so dumb to file a lawsuit against a podcast?
Even Trump did that with the Wall Street Journal. Because they released the birthday.
Yeah, but he did it, Sheikh, and he won last time he did it with ABC. Did you know? Yeah, during the election campaign.
So what is that? I'm not up to speed.
He basically wrote a birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein.
Allegedly. Like Wall Street Journal
allegedly.
is saying he did. He's saying he didn't. And Wall Street
But
Journal
they
came up with
published
this report, published, and he's like, it's a
got his
defamation.
signature on it, but he's saying it's not my signature. I never wrote this, but it's like basically it's the letter is drawn in the body of a naked woman. Like is the letter, and the way he signed it is where her private parts are. And it basically said something along the lines of, and the last line I think was something along the lines, some secrets are best
kept secrets.
best kept secret, or something along those lines. Like it's been a really good journey. We've had a lot of fun, and these secrets will stay with us for the end, or something along those lines. Well, he's saying that he didn't say that, right? But Wall Street Journal will come out and say, "Bro, if you take
And
us to
it's
court,
Wall
we're
Street
fighting
Journal.
this, like to the end. We got
Yeah.
proof this is you, basically."
Oof.
So and now he's opened up a lawsuit. But one thing that I find a bit, you know, because you mentioned about lawsuits when it comes to
America.
when it comes to like
stage, wallahi, and
when
the
it comes
show
to
is getting
celebrities,
interesting.
celebrities and stuff, I kind of get why that would apply. With these rich and powerful like presidents and stuff, I feel like they can just make things disappear. You know, I said about Discovery. Like, I feel like they got the power to just make things disappear. Like how much, like what, and even if things do come out, he's just going to peddle the narrative. No, it's all fake. It's all fake news, and his followers are going to.
Who you're talking about, Macron or Trump?
I feel like to some degree both.
Yeah, but for Macron, it's the blood test. That's what they're going to ask for. Because what Allah has created with you with the DNA does not change with you changing the organs. So if it's a man, born a man, it's forever a man.
Wasn't even like the chromosomes that will show up and
Yes.
stuff.
I'll be there. So I don't know where does this lawsuit go.
No,
I'm
you
just-
said it like you're waiting. That was funny. Look, it's like, yo, come out of the closet, baby. No, look, Sheikh, I'll be honest with you, man. This is peak. The guy met this woman when he was 15. You know that, right?
Mhm.
She's a drama teacher.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The whole thing is very...
Yeah.
And Candace's point is like the world is run by perverts and we need to expose them. That's her hill that she's willing to
So what's
die
the
on.
proof that she's a man? What's the proof? Like,
She says she has all the proof, and that's
Oh.
why she's waiting. It's like the best defense, the best attack, best offense
she
is
hasn't laid
defense,
her
right?
cards on the table.
Yeah, best offense
Miss
is the
Candace.
defense. Yes,
Yeah, like guide you.
This
And
thing
me.
is like-
I mean, and she's very she has
Yeah,
good
man,
values and
like Ida, man,
principles.
like Ida,
I mean,
man, like
yeah,
Ida,
she has
man,
good
like
values and principles.
Like guide her.
And you know, there was this point about the world's run by pedophiles, and we even mentioned this in the previous podcast with thing. There was a video that someone put out. I can't remember where it was from, and they're basically showing it was one of these events. You know, like what these famous events that they have, like in America, like for actors and stuff. The Met, not the Met Gala. Yeah, they got Met Gala, they got Oscars, and it was one of these kind of events. And the host was basically saying, I'm going to order some pizza. Who wants some pizza? And then some people say, oh, yeah, I'll take a pizza. Or which one, cheese or thing? And apparently, Allah knows best. But this was like a form of child trafficking.
Pizzagate.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Pizzagate?
Pizzagate controversy.
And the guys that were the ones ordering the pizza, like I think one was Kevin Spacey, and one was Harvey Weinstein. These were the guys that actually later on were found out to actually be
Yes.
messing with children.
Yep.
So is it that far-fetched that back then what they were doing was actually, because you know, there is a sense of, because even like sometimes we might do this here, there's an internal joke that we've got amongst us. We'll feel like there's a level of adrenaline that you get from getting close to the reality of the joke. In public, you might make a joke and say, yeah, you know, like, I don't know, like, we'll bleep this, but it might be like, for example, you know, you hint, you get close to it, you feel like a sense of, you know, like, there's a thrill that comes from, you know, they don't know what we're talking about, but we all know, like, the inner circle knows. This, the level of depravity, like, if that is the case, that these
Bro, do you know how bad it is? You know Epstein's plane, what it was called?
I've seen what, Sheikh?
His plane, you know what it was called?
No.
Lolita.
What does that mean?
Lolita is a woman from a novel, a child from a novel that was captured, sex trafficked, and raped repeatedly over and over again. And man called his plane the Lolita. And all these like
we're
guys,
down a rabbit hole, man.
all these guys are jumping in. Yo, let's go ride the Lolita around the world. Do you know what I'm saying?
You know how
Let's
serious
talk about
this...
CBDCs.
It's ma'roof. It's ma'roof.
You know how serious this French allegation is?
Yeah.
According to Candace Owens, since we're covering the story, Trump called her in February. Trump called her in February from his phone and said to Candace, hey, why don't you drop this story?
Oh, really?
Yeah. According to her, he directly made that call. And according to her, he said, that I had
dinner.
dinner.
Blood test as well, then, bro.
He said that, I was at a dinner with Macron, in his voice, with him and his wife, and they look normal. They look normal to me. So, there's something weird going on.
With
freedom of speech.
With Macron, I tell people everything. I promise you one thing, brothers, sisters, you'll see that Allah Azza wa Jal, like as in people who insult the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentioned, وَكَفَيْنَاكَ الْمُسْتَهْزِئِينَ. O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I have sufficed you from those that mock you. As in, don't worry, I'm going to personally take care of them. Inna shani'aka huwa al-abtar. The one who insults you, Muhammad, I'm going to cut him off. Allah Azza wa Jal said that. The Danish guy who started the whole making cartoons of Rasulullah. No, that was in France. The Danish guy.
Oh, Danish guy, okay.
Sheikh, every person who mocked the Messenger has died through unforeseen, as in not attack.
Weird deaths, basically.
Yeah, as in they've died. Like burnt in their house, car crash, whatever. This guy who insulted the Messenger from Denmark, the guy who started this thing off, over 10 years ago, he used to have a special armored vehicle that would transport him from place to place with the army that would transport him from the front and the back. This is how he died in the most horrific car accident. I'm saying this man and anyone who was behind him that was for and insulting the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, guys, people don't understand. This is the worst thing. This is the worst type of kufr. It's worse than normal shirk. You know why? Because the Messenger ﷺ is how we know Allah. And it's how we know how to get to Allah. The Quran was revealed to him. The Sunnah is from him. If you don't respect this individual ﷺ, then you will not respect the deen. Like mocking is a thing where if I can mock something, I can never respect it. And Islam is not just respected. It's the thing that I take my forehead and I place my forehead on the floor for this religion when I worship Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Quran that we sent Muhammad أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا, that we sent you down, Muhammad, as a glad tider and a giver of warnings. Why? So that people can believe in you. وَلِتُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَتُعَزِّرُوهُ وَتُوَقِّرُوهُ. The messenger was sent for us to believe in Allah and the messenger and to respect the messenger. Like, this is actually deep. One of the reasons why Allah sent the Prophet ﷺ on this earth as a messenger was to be respected. Because from respect comes what? From respect comes obedience. You cannot respect a man, you cannot obey a man you don't respect. And the man you have to obey more than anything and anyone on earth, and you have to love him more than you love your own self and your mum and your dad and your children and everyone on earth. You can't do that if you don't respect him. So Allah is saying, I sent this man to be respected, to be honored. And these people wanted to, think about it, if you can make the Prophet a laughing stock, you've destroyed Islam. If you make the Messenger a laughing stock, Islam is destroyed now. Look at it, because they've allowed themselves, the Christians, because they've allowed people to mock Isa alayhi salam, that's why Christianity is not taken seriously. Actually, people are willing to what? They're willing for the Messenger's honor. They're willing to die for his sake. I'm saying, if you can make them not respect him, you take that away. So this guy did something. Pay attention, people. Pay attention. Something that the Zionists have not even done. Zionists have not even done. Remember, the Messenger's honor is greater than the honor of any Muslim other than him. And anyone who has a problem with that, you've got an aqidah issue, I'll tell you that right now. The Messenger's honor is more sacred than the blood of any other Muslim. I'm saying these people did what even the Zionists didn't do. Even the Zionists didn't do. So, and unfortunately, the Muslims didn't give victory to the Messenger. Right? It's a little, this, that, and then they went quiet, and then they buy French products and they do business with France. This is why I boycott France. That's why I don't buy any French products. I don't drink any French drinks. Right? This is the people who don't honor your messenger, they're not going to honor you. There was a time when there was, I think, a play or something that was written in England where they were insulting the Messenger. The Ottoman Sultan sent a letter saying, "Don't do that, bro. Don't. I'm warning you. Don't do that." And quickly, the British government said, "Lock it off. We don't want that. We don't want to get cracking with the Muslims." So I'm very grateful to Allah for this distress that Macron is seeing in his life, and I will, with a lot of enjoyment, watch the show. And no one, you don't have any idea. We don't want anyone to go through difficulty. But the ones who insult my Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I take so much joy in their pain and suffering. My iman increases when I see their pain and suffering. No, wallahi.
Candice has your full support on this, Sheikh.
Candice.
Get the blood test.
No, wallahi, Candice. Perhaps Allah, sometimes Allah says...
Ask for a urine test.
No, listen. Allah guides to a person that's misguided. رَجُلٌ فَاجِرٌ فَاسِق. Hadith from Tirmidhi. Candice, wallahi, you're doing something for us. May Allah guide you. May Allah give you victory. May Allah put the haqq on your tongue. Candice, God, the man them are behind you. They're all behind you on this one. Hey, guys, with that said, any last words?
Sheikh, this was good. Learned a lot.
Alhamdulillah, I learned a lot too, man.
Guys, leave the UK. Leave America. Leave these countries, man. Just go to a
Ask
Muslim
them to
country.
comment what they like.
Yeah. No, guys, we really do appreciate your comments. The reason why Sam's mentioning that is because your feedback is very important. Want to know if this is something that you're learning from. Maybe you have advice for us. Maybe you have encouragement for us. Look, this content, there's no charge, there's no fee.
Feedback.
There's never going to be anything like that. The only thing that we request from you is to share it. Everyone's got to do their part. You got this brother in Egypt, as I showed you, he's putting food in containers in the ocean, hoping it reaches Gaza, because that's the most he can do. And definitely the least you can do is share. And give us feedback, man. We're open to it. I'm not compelled to listen to your feedback. In all honesty and transparency.
He had to say
It's
it.
not
I knew he
democracy.
was going to say it, though.
Yeah, it's not democracy. But
I knew he was going to say it.
I am open to feedback if it's genuine, if it's true. And
I know you're gonna have to cut this up. I imagine they just put their revenue with the feedback.
oh no, I'd be inclined.
Yeah.
A man who's got a lot of money, he's got some degree of sense. It's not the only prerequisite, right? But you got something going on there. Definitely don't want to take it from people that are so
Anyway,
broke
with
that they put in that they intentionally buying
Subhanaka
cars
Allahumma
on
bihamdik.
finance. They're not going to take feedback from
Ashhadu an la
you.
ilaha illa anta.
Credit cards, no.
Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You should be like MRR feedback.
In case you ever wanted to move to Dubai, I've got something very special for you. As you may be aware, myself and Abu Bakr moved to Dubai and Sharjah last year. It was one of the best decisions that we ever made for our deen, our families, and our businesses. Living here is amazing. You've got a masjid in almost every single street, unparalleled safety and security. You've got lessons from mashayikh and different teachers and students of knowledge in English and Arabic, and no income tax. Now, how do you move here? That's a question that you might be asking. Well, it can be tough if you don't know your way around things. Sometimes the companies that help you get visas here, they got hidden fees, long waits, big problems, resulting in visa rejections, a lot of wasted money and time. This is where Ansar Consultants comes into play. They helped us set up everything. No hidden fees, no long waits. They kept it simple and honest. I got my visa in less than a month. And these guys have a 100% track record helping brothers get their visa so far. 100% track record. That's insane. Allahumma barik. Now, if you're thinking of moving to the UAE, I recommend Ansar Consultants. They can even help you invest in properties here with a 100% Sharia compliant contract. So if you want a smooth move like we did, click the link below and check out Ansar Consultants.